Is it time that Iowa got a new state animal? I got this guy back in 1996 at the Republican National Convention in San Diego, but it made me think about a new state animal for Iowa. If it had one, it seems like it needs to be the elephant with all the Republican success in this state over the past decade. Hi, I'm Dave Price. Now, I'm kidding about the elephant, but if you look what's happening at the Iowa State House, there are some recounts that we have to watch. But it looks like about 2 out of every 3 seats in the Iowa legislature will be held by Republicans. It is definitely not what the House Democratic leader had in mind.
What I said to many folks was, if we were the only chamber that had trouble, if we were the only place where Democrats didn't do well on election night, I would not run again as leader. But because it was across the board, and because I've been so involved in helping to rebuild infrastructure with the party, trying to change the course, trying to look at things long term, I felt and argued that I have the experience and the sort of context to continue building what went well and adjust on what didn't go well, right? My caucus was very well informed of our plans every step along the way. They agreed with our plans. Everything we did was based on the data we had, and they felt that I made good decisions based on the data we had. And clearly the data we had was wrong, but it wasn't just wrong in the House. It was wrong across the board. And that's what we're trying to reconcile now.
The bottom line is, did the presidential race take down some of your members? Was that too much to overcome?
I think that, it's really hard to outperform the top of the ticket 13, 14%, right? And so we typically outperform the top of the ticket in a lot of districts on average 6.5%, 7%. And that's a big lift too. I do think that, the national trend and the way the country went was certainly, you can't argue that it didn't have an impact on our House seats.
So as you look ahead to January, I know we're still a month and a half away, but in both chambers, it appears the Democrats will be a smaller chunk of the overall legislature than the previous session. So what will your role be? Those are tough numbers.
Yep, it's very tough numbers. Look, I'm not looking forward to it, right? None of us are looking forward to going back and having to be at these numbers. But that doesn't change what our focus is, and it doesn't change what our goal is, which is to bring balance back to the state, hold Republicans accountable for what they say versus what they do, and listen to what Iowans tell us they want, right? Clearly, Iowans are with us on a lot of issues. It didn't translate to electoral success. Why is that? We need to do a lot of listening. We need to talk to voters, hear what they have to say, and figure out, that Iowa voters aren't all of a sudden in love with school vouchers, right? Iowa voters aren't all of a sudden in love with the abortion ban. They still are with us on those issues. So why didn't that translate? And if Republicans think that they can go down the road further with those things, it's our job to hold them accountable and remind voters who's there fighting for people and who's there playing politics. And so we have to be opposition. We have to hold them accountable. We have to raise the issues that Iowans care about when they aren't being raised by the other side. And frankly, we have to represent our constituents in ways that are meaningful and that can help bring as many of us back and bring more of us along in 2026.
So why didn't that? You mentioned some of those issues. When you look individually at some of these, at least according to polls, if we believe polls after what just happened in this election, but on issue polls, if you believe those, some of those things are unpopular with the majority of Iowans, yet they supported Republicans. How do those things jive?
Yeah, and here's the biggest problem is that we're a week out from the election and everyone wants a lot of answers that we can't fully get yet. And that's what's so frustrating is that we won't know exactly who voted and what the voter file looks like until January. And so we're a week out and everyone wants to know what happened. I don't know. And I think that, that was part of my conversation with the caucus too, was I'm not going to come in here and have an answer for you that's based on vibes or based on hot takes that I'm reading online, right? Our answers have to be based in data, and our answers have to be broader than just the Iowa House. We have to look across the state, across the party to see what is going on, and we don't have those answers yet. And so while that's frustrating because everyone wants an answer right now, I think what's more important to do is to make sure that we're making sustainable long-term change. And you can't do that without knowing who voted and why they voted.